guys, how's it going? All right, 1 second. Are you ready? In just a moment. All right, hello everyone, how's it going? I am TheSkilledRoy, and I'm here with some custom cards. Ladies and gentlemen, everyone, we have a wonderful time ahead of us. We have so many cool custom cards to go over, and I'm actually joined today by my good friend Lazy. Lazy, how's it going, buddy?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Had a great time listening to the comp section of the LOR Rabs 2020 show. Lots of really great stuff, and I'm really excited about some of the things we heard. All right, so today we'll be talking a lot about custom cards, as well as like what a good custom card is, what some of the submissions we had from our community looked like, as well as like what you could look into do if you're starting to like be interested in making custom cards, right? It's not super easy, obviously. The work of a designer really isn't. But it really gives you an appreciation for a lot of the stuff that Riot has to do on a consistent basis. I think right off the bat, I just want to say that 99% of this is basically just my opinion and some like unofficial rules we've come across just like trying to make these cards. So be ready for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a couple of concepts that are going to bring up is more just kind of observing what Riot does and making sure we don't go too far out of line. Like, obviously, the point of custom cards is you want to have fun, you want to stretch the limit of what you can do, but at the end of the day, there are certain, I don't want to say hard barriers, but definitely certain things that you need to pay attention to.
Yeah, there's certain restrictions that you have to be aware of, and certain things that just aren't feasible because the game is designed, for example, for mobile phones, right? And you can't like make someone like draw something on a piece of paper and show it to you, for example, right? Like in Magic the Gathering, there's a card that literally has you hide objects, and the player has to guess how many objects you've hidden. That's not something you can do.
Yeah, tear up someone's card.
Exactly. Yeah, there's one where you have to tear up cards and throw confetti. Game. Yeah. Oh my god, there's so many great ones. Oh my god. Yeah, but that's what I mean though. But because of that though, since it is a digital space, you actually get more design space in certain aspects too. We've seen this today with cards like Invoke. Invoke would not really function in a paper card game, right? But having it on an online one lets you do so much more, and as well as all the creation mechanics we're seeing now, which are on full display in the newest expansion. So that's a really generally fair way to look at it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm just talking about like more simple concepts. Just because it's digital, the computer itself will handle all the tracking.
Yeah.
So in games like Magic, for example, which is obviously more paper focused, everything pretty much gets reset at the end of the turn. Meanwhile, because LOR tracks everything, you can hold buffs for multiple turns, you can hold counters, just tons and tons of stuff, and the computer will handle all of it.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that's sort of the benefit. So if you're trying to make some designs that would be impossible on paper, you can actually make them possible on digital. But that also means reverse is true as well. So as long as you're aware of those things, those are some really basic ones to talk about. But let's talk about some really general rules or some common missteps we usually see with custom designs. Lazy, I think you wanted to talk about one in particular, actually.
Yeah. So one concept that we see a lot that kind of gets overstepped is the concept of breaking timing. And this appears to be kind of a purely design choice by Riot itself, less so that they can't do it, just so that they don't want to do it for whatever reason. Likely not to get too complicated on the mobile end.
Yeah, likely game speed as well.
But basically, breaking timing is... Yeah. So basically, what breaking timing is that based off of the cards that we have right now, there's only certain points in time where you can actually ask for player input, and this is usually only when you can play a card. So imagine, for example, I've seen like a couple of these types of cards where it's sort of like War Mothers, for example, where at the start of the round, instead of drawing a card, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, pick one, and then that's what you draw, shuffle the other 2, whatever. So unfortunately, that based on what we currently have, the rules we have in place, you can't actually do that. Because you can't play a card at the very start of the round. Mm-hmm. And you have to think about this from the perspective of the other player. Like, is he just going to be sitting there waiting for you to go through this action? And you could argue like, oh, maybe Riot should like incorporate some like more obvious ways of tracking these things, so it's more obvious as to what's happening. But the argument here isn't Riot cannot do this. It's more like they've flat out decided not to allow player input during these times. A really good example in the game currently, where you can sort of cheat it, but the game tries to fix itself, is a card called MOLTEN. And just in case you forgot, it's the Targon Allegiance card, where Allegiance you invoke, basically. So you get to pick the three cards.
So yeah, normally the menu would open up and you get to choose one of your 3 invoked cards, right? So what happens instead?
Exactly. So what happens instead is that Allegiance is a summon effect, not necessarily a play effect, and you can have summons occur during effect resolution. So let's say you ended up cheating out MOLTEN either through like Miscall or War Mothers.
Or Callista, or any way you can summon him by not playing him from hand, right? Okay.
So because Allegiance can still go off during these times, what happens is that instead of picking one of the 3 cards, you just get a random Celestial card. Right. It flat out tosses you the opportunity to do so and just says, nope, we're going random.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why they're doing this is because they understand that there's no way for a player to be able to input anything at those key moments of decision making, right? So instead, it's like, okay, well, instead of giving you nothing and like making this card break, we'll give you something at least to show it. So what MOLTEN actually says is Allegiance invoke, but if you do not have priority, instead get a random Celestial. That's what the card unofficially should say, right? But instead, they just shorthand it because these situations are incredibly rare and like only
really rare.
They're only happening when you're a guy trying to make custom cards and you're trying to push the engine to its limits and see how you can break it. So that's the only real time this will actually ever come up. So but there's
a couple of ways to break certain things, especially with like Karma and Morning Light, and
yeah, exactly.
You can get into some really weird situations.
Yeah.
But it generally holds consistent.
Yeah, which is really interesting because some things like Morning Light will actually cheat in a different way because they'll let you make choices even before the card has resolved yet, and that makes no sense. But yeah,
it's hard to describe that whole effect because there's like a lot of moving parts.
Yes.
But basically, to put it really bluntly, imagine you have a Karma, a leveled one. It doubles Morning Light, and Morning Light activates all the daybreaks. Let's say you have
Priestess.
Solari Priestess, for example, which, yeah, again, it's another invoke. If you play the Morning Light, you now get 2 activations of it. You then get to pick, let's say you had 3 Solari Priestess. You get to pick the 6 cards in advance.
Yeah.
And then when the stack actually gets to it, that's when it gets added to your hand, which is
so bizarre.
Really weird.
It's really funny too because this is completely against any other concept in the game, right? Because you use a deny on one of those Morning Lights, you made the choices for no reason. They're just gone. So
yeah, exactly.
It's completely odd. Like, there's no other resolution of this effect in the world, so it's just completely odd to me. But that's some examples as to why timing is important. Now, hopefully, none of our cards we're reviewing today actually are going to have that issue, but we're gonna quickly go over them and sort of see how it goes overall. So let's get started, shall we? I'm gonna pull up the first card right now. Okay. So first things first, our first card for the day is going to be Blackbeard. Blackbeard is a really cool card. It's a 9-mana 7/7. The first time it deals damage to the enemy nexus each round, trigger allies plunder effect. This is not a bad concept. What do you think about this one so far, Lazy?
So I believe that the way plunder works is that there is no effect in the game yet that plunder is like going back to the timing thing. I'm not only going to talk about timing, guys. I promise.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure there's no plunder effects that actually ask for input. They just go off. So there's no oddity here with like using warning shot, and it's like, well, where do I target my thing?
Yeah.
So it does work.
Some like Rex, for example, are explicitly random already. I'm trying to think of any that actually ask you to aim anything or do anything, because those hypothetically would not be able to work, right?
Yeah.
I think the most obvious combination with this is, of course, our man, the Citrus Courier, because then you just get 2 rallies, I guess, right? Because you would activate it with it, which is pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. Also, Rex, obviously, Rex is also pretty absurd because it basically gives you 2 Rexes. And this is sort of an interesting question because when it gets to the 9-mana range, on the 9-mana 7/7s, right? A lot of people look at this card and say it's really overpowered, right? Like this card is just crazy. If you have a Rex on the board, then you win the game. If you have a Courier on the board, you win the game. It's like, Yeah, but like at 10 mana, like the cards are kind of gonna be winning the game on their own. You know what I mean? Like it's
cards at this mana level need to
be impactful.
It's exactly. It's this weird thing where you hit a point at where the mana cost is like just outright kill a minion. Not a minion, sorry, a unit, like with Vengeance.
Yeah.
So these expensive cards, to be able to actually get up on tempo, they need to do something when they hit the board. Yeah. It's why Ledros is so good. Most of his value is just bam, slice the Nexus the second you play it. Yeah. At that point, I don't care what happens to my Ledros, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
it's just a bonus that he's inevitable. Like yeah, compare this to Ledros, right? Like this card is not going to break decks as badly as Ledros will, at least in my opinion. And that's like sort of my basis for how I might balance it, right? It's very, very powerful. But I think it's just like, it's kind of just too slow. And like, even when you play it on turn 9, the opponent has like, assumingly you're spending almost all of your mana to play Blackbeard, right? The opponent can now just like target whatever your Plunder's activator is going to be. You basically need Warning Shot for this to be functional.
You need a Plunder activator, and like you've got like what, 4 extra mana to get that off?
Yeah, which I mean, to be fair, that's very reasonable because Warning Shot's 0, of course, right? But then that means you're holding Warning Shot till turn 9, and it's just like there's a lot of things that are sort of like stacking on top of each other. Yeah, exactly, right. So it's just like I'm okay with the card conceptually. I don't think it's overpowered. If anything, I think it's actually kind of underpowered. In all honesty.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's not bad. I think it needs to be like either you lower the health, either you like lower the stats and then you make it like lower on the curve to like actually be relevant. Because at turn 9, I just don't see it being existing. You know what I mean?
Not only that, it needs a board. It needs actually Plunder minions on the board to even do anything. You know?
Yeah. To me, it's just like one of those cards where I don't know. I really do like.
Are you guys giving credit to who made the card? That's actually a very good
point. Of course. You know, this is I have the list here. We're going to be saying thank you to them as we go through each of them. Don't worry. Yeah. So the first one here is this was actually made by Hex. He's one of the contributors on the Discord quite often. Thank you so much for the card submission.
On our Discord.
Yeah, go on our Discord. Go on Discord. Go on the Discord. Join the Discord. Join the Discord.
Discord. Scroll down. Avoid every other part of it. We have a custom card section. We're very nice. Just come over here.
Yeah, it's like a completely like quarantined off area, you know, for all the toxic waste that gets spilled here. All right. So next card, I'd say. Let's hit up the next card here.
Yep.
Next card. All right. So let me just make sure this is in focus here for the camera. Perfect. All right, we got MOLTEN MINOTAUR. This is a.
I like this card. I remember this one.
This card's fun. It's a 6 mana, 8/7 Overwhelm, which is bonkers, of course. But to play me, discard 2. So that we've only seen this before. I think on Reckless Gambler, I believe, had the same discard 2 as opposed to discard 1. And Allegiance.
That's the one that attacks and you draw 2 fleeting.
Yes,
I believe.
That's correct.
Just in
case
other people don't remember.
Yeah. And then Allegiance is create the cards that you discarded back in your hand. Very interesting, especially after if you consider like the creation effects that we now have in the game and synergy points. This card has now retroactively become more interesting to me. It's actually kind of cool. I'm really enjoying this overall. The question is, can you break it? No, it's fine. The question is, can you break this at all? Is there any way to cheat this out? I'm thinking.
Can you break it?
Can you break it? You know what I mean? This card is really spicy.
That's the main question always when you design a card. It's like, okay, how can I destroy the game with this?
Yeah.
This isn't going to destroy, but like, do you think if just do the ordering, if you discard Vision and this thing hits the field, will it work?
If you discard Vision and this thing hits the board, that would be consistent with the other ones that when you discard them, they get played as well. So, for example, if you use Sump Dredger and you play it, and then you discard Vision to play it, it will still buff the Sump Dredger, right? So,
all right,
that should still hypothetically work.
Yeah, because I always forget if like play effects, like actually when they go off, they actually treat the minion as on the field.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
This weird thing,
I guess the only way you can really cheat this out, like basically, realistically speaking, is War Mothers, right? And even then, War Mother's not gonna they're not losing themselves over this card either, you know? I feel like War Mothers would rather have the 6 mana 7/6 Overwhelm, you know what I mean? With no condition. So yeah, I think that makes sense to me. But yeah, I think the card's conceptually interesting. It's very interesting.
I like that. I like the fact that it actually returns it to the hands because it's like, hey man, you have discard synergy, cool. Here, use it again.
Yeah.
Also, you get like a massive 8/7 Overwhelm.
Yeah.
I think it may actually be. like in that's like really strong, you know? That's like really strong.
Because obviously the implication here is you're probably going to try to discard like spinning axes to this thing, right? Hypothetically, right? Like
or visions.
Yeah, or visions, right? So yeah, I don't know. I think the thing, yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, if you were to play this with Allegiance through a summoning effect, like we were talking about earlier, I assume it just wouldn't hit anything, right? Because you never discarded anything, since it specifically names those discarded cards.
Yeah, exactly.
So, which is interesting, because I mean, technically, that's a good point. We were just talking about timing, but since the timing explicitly just doesn't function, and it makes it pretty obvious it doesn't function, I think it's fine. So if you cheat it out, it's no different than cheating out another play effect card. You just don't get the effect, right? And I think people will understand.
Yeah,
that.
it's like Mind Splitter. Like you're going to be targeting nothing on the play. So.
Now here's the interesting question that I'm wondering here: is this just good enough just to be like a Darrowing deck? Like I feel like this is just this does feel like it encroaches a little bit on what a hypothetical like Darius might be, right? It might be a little too strong for a follower.
Especially with the 6 mana, I think it is a little bit too strong. Like it's just too big of a body, and. Yeah, the fact that it regenerates the cards.
Yeah, it means like, you're getting so much out of it.
Like the deck building costs from Allegiance, obviously you need to consider that. And like Noxus has pretty good discards, but it's really PNZ that has the really good discard stuff.
Yeah, and one other thing to mention as well, someone just mentioned this in chat, Vaults is also can abuse this card as well. Vaults of Helia.
Oh yeah, that's true.
The SIA
cheat it out like that,
cheat out like that as well, which very relevant. That's actually pretty important because the 6-drop slot is pretty good for them because that goes right into Rekindler, and usually the 6-drop slot is usually your Hecarim slot or your Anivius slot. At least from what I've seen, the deck lists of Vaults typically end up having. So this is an interesting difference for it because that means you could go into Noxus for it, which is actually. I'm almost willing to let this exist just to see what that looks like. You know what I mean? like because
just let it go crazy.
Yeah, whatever, man. It's because like the vaults typically sees play in Freljord and Demacia as the two main vault users, right? And I don't think, to my knowledge, there's really a Noxus one, right? Because I mean, Darius is right there, right? It could hypothetically work. Yeah, it is very much a better Darius level 1. I think that's my main concern.
I love the concept. Maybe go a little lower on the stats, but otherwise very, very cool.
I think the concept is great. And I really do want more Allegiance cards because that would encourage more like mono deck diversion. But yeah, we'll see how things go.
It'd be funny if they like release a bunch of Allegiance cards and they're all 6 mana.
Yeah, well, that's one thing we should mention, by the way. All Allegiance cards are actually 4 mana, which is actually a really very intelligent deck building like decision, right? Because that means they've clearly thought about how they want these mono decks to function on the turn 4 slot. And you'll notice that a lot of decks actually have an issue on the turn 4 drop because of this, which is actually kind of interesting. You'll notice that some decks just don't have a great 4 drop sometimes. Obviously, some have bonkers ones like Grizzled Ranger, but overall, like it was something especially noticeable early on in the game's expansions when 4 drops were so tight, and then Allegiances were one of the few options you had.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, let's go to the next card.
Oh
wait, this was by Douglas, and this is actually one of the other mods on the CustomLoR subreddit. Thank you so much for submitting this, Douglas.
Join the subreddit.
Join the subreddit. Yeah, every time. Yeah, every time. Okay.
Grizzled Ranger pre-nerf when? Never.
Oh my god.
I don't want to see that.
Can you imagine if we ever got Grizzled Ranger back to what it used to be?
I don't want to imagine that.
That card is so busted. It's actually incredible. Holy crap.
All right. This guy though.
Okay. So, Noxcria Drummer, 4 mana, 2/4. Your strongest unit has +2/+0, and the weakest enemy has -2/-0. Okay, so this is a very obvious combination card with what's it called? The Arena, Noxcria Arena, which is the obvious obvious like comparison point here. This card is deceptively incredibly powerful, and let me explain this out a little bit. Reason why. With challengers or proper sequencing in your own attacks, you can completely screw over someone's blockers with this.
Because this is defined as an aura, which means it will update on everything, constantly.
So as soon as something dies, it'll then re-update. So imagine you have your attackers coming at you, right? And the opponent then puts their attackers out against you. You can completely disrupt someone's thinking of how they're going to be blocking, going to be functioning, because, their weakest unit died first. Well, guess what? That means this unit is now the weakest, which means when that one dies, this one's going to be the weakest, and each of them will then constantly be getting -2 stats as it hops around between each effect, which is incredibly bizarre to sort of like explain to people, and without the Oracle Eye, I would say this is outright unprintable. Because the Oracle Eye would just like it would take so much math.
It is really complicated just because of how much stuff can go on. I really do like the effect. I think it's cool, but I think this can be saved flat out by just making it like a round start thing.
Yes, exactly.
And make it so the stat alterations only happen for one round as well.
Yeah, exactly.
You could probably like buff it a little bit more, like give it a bit better stat line, since it's not like literally causing your opponents to do calculus. But...
yeah, exactly. Another person mentioned in chat. Sorry if I mentioned this as well. Obviously, this also goes for your strongest too. So if you order your attackers from strongest to weakest, it's just
wacky, friend.
It's so wacky.
Gets wacky.
Because then the opponent has to calculate health total plus their cost total. Because if you're attacking with a bunch of 3/2s and they all have different costs or health.
Like every oh man, someone buffs it. Like someone pumps up a minion. Now it's like, oh man, the freaking dominoes are now just completely different.
Yeah, like with one transfusion, you can completely sequence break this thing entirely. Because then one thing's health is lower for a tie, but then one other thing is now +2/+2. It's just very silly, and I really do love this card though. It's really cool conceptually, but it just definitely cannot be an aura because it just breaks everything.
Round start, pump its stats up a little bit, and it's pretty much perfect. It's like,
I think the concept is perfect and it's really great, and that's awesome. Just please move it from an aura because that's just a little ridiculous. This is from Proy. Thank you so much for your submission. This was a great card.
Thank you. Very good. Very good.
Thank you. All right. Next up, we have Take Captive. 2 mana, slow speed spell. An ally captures an enemy with 4 or less power. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So capture was only just recently expanded upon with Tom Kench in Bilgewater. And even in that situation, Bilgewater can only capture allies without a champion, which is a little odd. So that means really there's only kind of 2 capture cards in the entire game. Or three now, yeah, because Aurica, yeah. So it's very interesting how this sort of works. Now, one thing we should mention here as well is that this is also specifying an enemy, unlike the original Detain, which can capture allies, which is actually very relevant. And so this is actually sort of capitalizing on what we call a theme of a region. So when we talk about themes of regions, certain regions have certain design themes or concepts that they have consistently throughout their kit. In this case, Noxus has this thing about hating anyone with 4 or less power. This is called the Trifarian mechanic, so to speak, because every single card that has Trifarian in the name, other than one, is actually 5 power. If you look at, for example, a card called Trifarian Hopeful, he's a guy trying out to be a Trifarian, and if he succeeds in his contest, which is his little mechanic, he gets 5 power. Trifarian Assessor is assessing people who are worthy of joining the Trifarian Legion, and what does she care about? 5 or plus power and Yetis, but that's
ignore that part.
That's fine. So that's what we sort of look at when we think about a theme, right?
Also, Reckoning
is also another one.
If you have below 4, if you have 5, yeah.
Exactly. Another one is Culling Strike. Culling Strike is another big one as well. So basically, Noxus clearly loves to kill units that are weak. Right, so weak power wise, right? So anything below 4 health is typically going to be a prime target for them. Now this is important to note because capture, I personally would not actually consider a Noxian mechanic, just because the nature of their removal is very often specifically about specific stat changes, right? Oh, if they're damaged. Oh, if they have lower attack, right? They don't have any true kill spells, right? No, they don't have a vengeance equivalent. Everything is very conditional there, right? So a true capture spell, I would consider a little bit out of their region normally. But adding the stipulation of 4 or less power immediately evokes Noxus as what it should be, right? And flavorfully too. Let's be honest. Like Noxus is like
it's really nice. Also, I'm not gonna lie. Even though Noxus doesn't really have any capture-based stuff right now, I think in terms of just don't really want to bring lore into it, but yeah, come on. I would not be angry if they added capture mechanics and thematics to Noxus at all.
Okay, so
especially because it's literally only represented in Demacia right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, technically, Bilgewater.
Okay.
Yeah. One card. So anyways, but the thing is though, is that we also want to talk about here is that the captures an enemy with 4 or less power, like. For that, we understand that
it can be fizzled pretty easily.
Yeah, it can be fizzled pretty easily, right? Look at Culling Strike, for example. I think the perfect example of this card is Culling Strike. Culling Strike is kill anything with 3 or less power at fast speed, and this is a slow speed quote unquote equivalent. Like let's call them relatively the same in terms of cost, because slow speed I think is worth the 1 mana discount. Would Culling Strike be played at 2 mana slow speed? That's debatable. Whereas fast speed makes it very relevant, right?
Yeah.
So I think that to me is a really crucial aspect of the balance decision on this card, and it's interesting. It is very interesting because it's like, it's not even true removal too, right? Because if it dies, it's gonna die. And one thing to keep in mind of Noxus, and one thing to keep in mind, Noxus, unlike Demacia, which has tons of defensive tools, Noxus doesn't really have any, really, right? Like,
yeah, they're all focused on offense. They don't really have high health totals for most of their cards.
Yeah.
Like, the most defensive Noxian card is probably like that elephant.
The giant elephant. Yeah.
I just can't. It's such a weird card.
Yeah, and now it does have Sharpen Resolve. It's a great point, chat, which is obviously an underpowered buff, but it's still run because Noxus needs buffs, because like they need that the ability to fight in combat. Like if you look at Sharpened Resolve and you compare it to like Sharp Sight, it's a joke, right?
Yeah.
So that's what's a really good point about it, is that like,
what are you talking about, dude? It's got +1 power.
yeah, exactly. +1 power for
and the lack of elusive block. Well, the elusive block is really irrelevant almost, but whatever.
Yeah. So that's what I mean, though. It's like, that's one really important thing to note about regions. Some regions can get things that are outside of their region as long as they are paying a disproportionately higher amount for it, right? So it's clear that they want Noxus to have really good offensive buffs, like things like Brothers Bond is a really great example for that. But Sharpened Resolve is pretty inefficient comparatively to things like Fury of the North, compared to things like Sharp Sight, right? Those are 3 pump spells, as we call them, that are all in different regions that have dramatically different use cases and abilities. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's how I would sort of look at it overall.
Looks like 2 mana culling to me.
Yeah, it does. It is conceptually equivalent in many ways. It's a slow culling. It hits slightly harder, but it also isn't a full removal spell. And in Noxus, that's kind of relevant, right? So it's...
I really think the fact that it captures is really different here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Another good point to bring up is Sleepy Bubble Trouble. Is it Sleepy Trouble Bubble? Yeah. Okay.
Sleepy Trouble Bubble.
Yeah. So Zoe's Bubble, for example, is literally one of the worst spells in the game in terms of efficiency, because it's literally worse Guile. It's a bad version of Guile to start off.
You want 2 mana Guile into a 3 mana slow flock?
Yeah,
you want that?
Exactly. Right. So that's pretty bad, but since it's bundled together and it's super slow, it's literally 2 slow speed spells, it works perfectly for Targon, because Targon's main thing is that they have only slow speed answers, right? So they're like, okay, we're gonna let you have like some burn damage here, but it's going to be at the slowest speed imaginable, which is 2 slow spells, right? Like, if the opponent doesn't have an answer, all right, you got him.
Killing your opponent next year.
Yeah, exactly. And that's sort of representative in a lot of their cards as well, actually, when we talk about things like the Infinite Mind Splitter, which is a delayed stun, but it's very powerful because it keeps happening.
I love that card.
Right, it's a great card. Great card. Anyways, so overall, though, Take Captive. How are we feeling on it? I think it's not bad. Yeah.
I think it's not bad, yeah.
It's not bad.
I don't really think you can change it that much. Like 1 mana less, a bit weird. Obviously, I think it's solid. I think it's
fine how it is now. I would definitely need to see more synergy with the capture mechanic and more cards built around this. Because if you're building a set, you can't just like port in 1 card and call it a day, right? It has to be a bit more different than that. And I do think that 4 power is necessary, because otherwise this card is never going to see play comparatively to Culling Strike. If you lower this thing to 3, there's no reason to ever play this card over Culling
Remember,
Strike.
It can literally fizzle.
Yeah, so it's a really big important thing, especially since it's slow speed, right? Okay, not bad.
Yeah,
all right, let's take a look at... Oh, sorry, that was also by Douglas. Thank you so much for that. Let's go take a look at the next card here. Yeah, join the server, yeah.
Join the Disney.
Next, we have another 6 mana allegiance. It's also by Douglas, because Douglas was trying to make a bunch of allegiances around the 6 cost. And this is the Admiral Calico. 6 mana, 6/4. Allegiance, summon a powder keg, double your powder kegs.
It really reads like get 2 powder kegs.
At minimum, it's a 6 mana, 6/4 that summons 2 powder kegs. That is a flat out statement, right? Of course, the power of this card is really going to be from, for example, the opponent just attacked. After combat, you play like one of the Petty Crew or the other keg maker, and then you play Calico on your attacking turn, front flipped, right? And then now you have 4 powder kegs. Like that is the quote unquote dream scenario. It's kind of hard to imagine this as anything.
What are you talking about, dude? You do boom ship and you blow them up.
Yeah. And one person mentioned in the chat, this is literally more powder on a body at bare minimum, right? This is more powder plus a 6/4 for 6 mana, which is actually not that bad in all honesty, right? So
but more powder is kind of bad though.
More powder is kind of bad, and a 6 mana 6/4 body is nothing really to walk home with either. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, what we're looking at here is really going to be really high impact card that you can play in that exact scenario I said. So, for example, the opponent attacks you on 5, right? You then, after combat, play like the 2/2 summon a keg. Then on turn 6, you play Admiral Calico, right? You get 4 powder kegs and Calico, and then you have 3 spell mana sitting, right? That's Boom Ship, that's Vile Feast, that's Unspeakable Horror, that's Make It Rain. Make It Rain does 5 damage to 3 targets. you just get pack your bags, man. Like it's pretty good. Like that's a pretty insanely good situation in certain aspects.
Keep in mind, it isn't just the summon thing. It is an allegiance. There's a deck building cost to getting this thing off.
Yes, exactly. No, if this was just vanilla, I think there would be a much bigger issue with this. It's as it is now, it does feel a little weak. I do love the conceptualization of it. Like I do
too.
I
really wish there was more stuff around
kegs.
Make more of them. Give me more kegs.
Would a 6/6 be too much? I don't personally think so. I think a 6/6 or 6/5 is more than fine given the deck building cost of the card. I think maybe 6/5 might be a sweet spot. 6/4 does feel a little too weak, dude. Remember when everyone thought 4 health was invincible and then Flock got printed?
Yeah.
So it's just like there's so many things that can do 4 damage now. So it's just like, I'm thinking on this a lot.
About 5/6. That's like a pretty prime stat line, but that's just like, hey man, I want to give a good body.
Yeah, 5/6 is the original Jack the Winner. That was the original Jack the Winner one, which was also kind of
really
wild.
Tough to kill.
Yeah, he was basically invincible. Yeah, I think this is close. I think we universally in the chat and us here, I think we agree that the effect is good and the concept is great. I think those things are almost undebatable.
Just mess around with the stats a little bit and we should be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
It should be cheaper. There's a reason Allegiance cards are all 4 cost. I do want to mention, like, we should preface this that I'm pretty sure the intention here was to make a bunch of 6 mana cost Allegiance cards.
Yeah, the designer made a bunch of 6 cost Allegiances, so just keep that in mind. That's why they made this. They meant this to be the quote-unquote mid to late game version Allegiance payoffs. Double might be kind of dangerous. I agree, at certain situations it could be, but it's also so evocative and so perfect for what an Allegiance effect should be. It should be flashy. It should be big, you know?
Also, remember that just because there's a bazillion kegs doesn't mean they're any more susceptible to getting
answered. Yeah,
blown up, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I think we're good though on this one.
I think it's good. Hypothetically, would a balanced possible option be to summon the powder keg after you double powder kegs?
Then you just get 1. No, I think summoning 2 is fine off the bat.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I think it's fine. All right, cool. This is again by Douglas. Thank you so much for the submission. It's a really cool card. I think conceptually it's really great. I do think the stats just need a little bit tuning. I do think as written now it's a little too weak. It is spicy because doubling kegs can just get really scary very quickly.
The word doubling is always a scary
The word double is very spooky.
Things can get out of hand very quickly. Oh, also, just before we move on to the next card, I've noticed that a lot with custom cards that, they do throw on the double, but they also throw deal damage like equal to half rounded down.
Oh my god, yes. Okay, yeah, let's talk about this. Stop making people do division. Like, do you know how many people lost their minds when they found out that Ladros could kill them at 1 HP? Oh my god,
they couldn't process it, dude.
People were losing their minds. They were like, wait, what do you mean, Ladros?
Divide odd numbers mentally, okay? It's like they're monkey brains.
It's so easy. It really is so easy to do, but people just refuse to do it, right? So, like, the amount of people, literally, the first week of this game was people realizing that Ladros could kill you at 1. And it was just people just freaking out about it. Oh my god, what a world. What a world, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
All right, next card.
Yeah. All right, next card.
Join the Discord.
All right, and the last one of the Douglas pack of cards was the 2-mana 3/2 Shadow Lifetaker. Oh man. So, obviously, there's a couple comparison points here. You have the Sentient Watermelon card. I can't remember what the hell its name is. The 4/2 Lifesteal at 3 mana. Tasty Fey Folk.
Tasty Fey Folk. He's got a chomp. I think it's canon that Lulu was the one who bit his arm off.
Yeah.
Psychopath, that one.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. This is a 2-mana 3/2 with attack. Give me lifesteal this round. Yeah, this is a pretty interesting concept. I think this is very much like a spiky card, right? This is a card that isn't really evocative of a design standpoint. This is like, hey, we want to introduce more lifesteal and effects to Ionia, right?
Yeah.
So it's harder to evaluate this card from a design perspective because obviously it works. It's literally just a different version of an existing card, right?
Yeah. Another comparison is the what's his face?
The 3/2
the one in
SI?
deep. The one in deep.
Yeah. The 3/2 toss 3.
I remember his name.
Yeah. There's a 3/2 toss 3 in SI, which
3 mana
has
force,
lifesteal all the time, and this is only on attacking. And it's worth mentioning that like attacking lifesteal is relevant, but it's definitely the stronger half of the lifesteal trade, right? You usually want to be attacking with lifesteal because that way you have the initiative on the opponent to play something first. What I mean by this is like when you're attacking with lifesteal, like so for example, like Sunforger, which we're now seeing a lot of, it's better generally to attack with Sunforger because that means the opponent has to be the one to respond to you first, right? That means they have to put the spell in the stack first, which means then you can respond to it. You know what I mean, guys? Meanwhile, let's say on the defense, obviously the opponent can pass, and now you're the one who has to commit first, right? And that's a bit more of a different type of gameplay design there. So this is definitely the stronger half of the half if you're going to take one, but does that mean it's good at this sort of stat range? I mean, a 2-mana 3/2 just isn't bad, right? Like it's just a fine body. So the lifesteal really is just gravy.
Like, yeah, the focus is you're playing this because like, hey man, I want some health like right frickin' now. I feel like.
Like this is really just gonna be a health potion most of the time, right?
Yeah.
Like a 2-mana 3/2
dealing
cast a health
3
potion.
damage as well, so yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're doing 3 damage as well,
attack.
of course, yeah. But I mean, like it's a 2-mana 3/2 that casts health potion, and like that's fine. You're okay with that. You're pretty happy with that overall, I'd say. Yeah, I'm happy with this design. I think it's more than like this is a really nice, nuanced, chill design, and this is really only going to be playable if you really want the lifesteal or you have a life gaining like sort of mechanic in Ionia, which could definitely happen. Yeah. They have cards that clearly
they have most of the lifesteal stuff. Yeah.
They have a ton of lifesteal. They have that support lifesteal card. They have the Tasty Fate Folk we just mentioned. They have healing potion, ritual, Spirit's Refuge. They have tons of stuff that really work really well off of lifesteal. So I can definitely see this being in. So great design on this. I think this is the most obviously printable card that Douglas made out of all of them.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely hypothetically could happen, so all right,
good job, man. Good job.
All right, next up we have DEFIED. Let me just make sure I get the exact quote for who this belongs to. Oh, Douglas just presented like a 500 cards. Jesus Christ. So this is Douglas as well. This is a 3-mana burst speed spell. Grant an ally last breath, revive me with Ephemeral. Obviously sort of evocative of Karthus from League of Legends, who when he died came back as a spectral ghost for 7 seconds.
Don't worry guys, we got other cards. Douglas did not just like swarm the channel.
Yeah. This is literally I think the last one for him. Don't worry. Yeah. So anyways, this is actually a really cool design. This is obviously the most obvious comparison point to this is Mistcall, which is the 3-mana fast speed revive a random ally who died this round, right? And
the last one was the last one. Okay.
Yeah. I'm so sorry.
Guys, he's sending us cards as we speak.
Yeah. So overall, though, the concept is really cool. I do like it a lot. I think the main issue here, though, is that it's just usually better than Mistcall a lot of the time.
Yeah, the fact that you can use it reactively, just like you got it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes with Mistcall, because it's fast speed, your opponent can interrupt it. Not interrupt it, but
kill something else.
Poison the well, and potentially screw it up. But this one, it's just
you're guaranteed every time. Like you mentioned, put this on Rekindler. You're like, all right.
Exactly. Also, it's Grant. Like you're gonna get a resummon guaranteed. I really think maybe it should be changed to this round.
Yeah, it is probably way too powerful. Yeah, for 3 mana, make another Nivea. Yeah, this is probably too efficient. I understand what they were going for. They were like, oh, well, it's ephemeral. It's not going to be around for too long. Yeah, but the decks that would run this don't care about that. So it's just it's probably a little too good, This is probably just probably a little too powerful.
I feel like when I first saw this card, I thought of something that may break it, and I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay, well, I know what you can do. Here's how you can figure that out, okay? So open up your Legend of Runeterra client, okay? You following?
Okay.
Okay,
Sure.
open it up. Okay, so there's actually this really cool feature to actually see which cards this card actually breaks with. It's really cool. They added it recently. So anything that revives something, you can actually see a little green symbol. It looks like an eye that's on fire. Do you see that in your like filters? Lazy.
Yeah, it's booting up, man. This stuff takes time.
Okay. So you're gonna see this like green little fireball like with an eye. It's in the middle of the card. Okay. So anything that has that, it actually breaks with this card. It's crazy.
Are you doing this to me, man?
Oh my god. Yeah. So this is sort of what I mean though. The card is just a little too efficient. I think this is easily moved up a little bit. It's just too controllable, and the fact that it's Grant just makes it like
He's
almost
bullying me, guys.
Yeah. Oh my god. Making it one round won't really do too much if people play it properly. Yeah, exactly. I think the burst speed is the biggest contention point here, right? The burst speed and it staying there forever. It just means that if the opponent doesn't have the answer now, they literally can never touch it, right? Putting this on Rekindler, putting this on Anivia just makes it almost untouchable.
There's like way too many targets where it's
There's
just
too many targets.
Amazing
And it being at the crisp number of 3 mana, 3 mana is incredibly important in LOR.
Because you can float it.
Because you can float it, exactly. And no matter what, you can always hold it above their head. There's a reason why Deny was so powerful at 3 mana was because opponents felt like they couldn't touch them because they always had the 3 mana available, right? Making sure that they always have the 4 mana is a slight distinction, but is still a powerful card nonetheless, right? So that's why.
Yeah.
Fast is a nice balance. Fast would help this a lot too. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So if you swapped it to this round, made it more like, okay, this actually needs to die this round to actually gain benefit from it.
Yeah.
You think it'd be good, or maybe even increase it to 4?
I would still increase it to 4. I would still increase it to 4 even with the round. It's just too powerful. Yeah, I definitely feel like it needs to go to 4 if this card.
Deny doesn't feel like a must take anymore.
Yeah, you don't have to put it in all your Ionia decks by default anymore. Like that's a really good choice.
Good though.
Yeah,
good though,
because yeah. I would say Deny was balanced. Deny was balanced at 3. No one will believe me. Everyone's like, "Hey guys, elusives are finally balanced." Meanwhile, they're all dead in a ditch behind the Ionian trees. Like, all right. Let's go to the next card.
Next card. Not a Douglas one?
No, Douglas one. This one is... No,
all right, the Age of Douglas.
Yeah. So I'm making sure ahead of time. No, this was a Douglas one. I just think this one wasn't. This one definitely
Get that
wasn't.
one.
This one isn't. This one was Mihai. Mihai is actually really cool.
There we go.
Yeah, this one was really interesting. Definitely needs to adjust the spelling on this one. This one is...
It's okay.
Yeah, this is a... Yeah, it's Monument of Strength. Yeah. 4 mana landmark. If you control a 5+ power
Poor
ally...
guy. He's like, yes, I'll send in my card. Meanwhile, we're making fun of his spelling. Poor guy.
Unlucky.
Poor guy.
Unlucky, dude. The technology just isn't there. It's fine. So, 4 mana landmark. Play. If you control a 5 power or ally, draw 1. The first time each turn you play a 5+ power ally, draw 1 again. Interesting. So, obviously, the obvious comparison point right off the bat is going to be Treferian Assessor, which is the now 5 mana 4/3. Anytime when you play her, draw cards,
you win the game.
Number of things at all, right? Treferian Assessor basically says if you draw 3 cards off me, you've basically won the game, right?
So powerful. It's nutty.
Yeah. So like Treferian Assessor and these are the 2 comparison points here, right? Because the reason why Treferian Assessor is so powerful is that like it constantly lets you refill a very grindy deck off the bat, right? This is more of a situation where you're playing this card to play consistent big drops over and over and over again. Because remember, it's not going to be every time you play it in a turn, but only the first time, right? So if you just play a bunch of Yetis, you're not drawing 10 cards. You're going to be going across like lengthwise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're going to be doing
but
a lot
to be
more.
fair with that deck, you're generally dropping 1 big guy and maybe a Yeti if you want. So it's not like the worst.
Yeah, it's not. You're not losing that much.
It really is like the tempo loss of dropping a 4 mana do nothing.
Yeah.
Landmark sometimes, you know, like if you don't get that play effect off, that's really rough.
I think one thing I do want to mention that some people in chat are also bringing out here is that it does seem really, like comparatively to Assessor, I'm sure it's not amazing, but the thing is, Assessor's incredibly playable, and if you have both of them, yeah, I mean at that point you're just
mill.
You're just draw. Yeah, you might as well deck yourself out. You could actually be playing Noxus. Just play Noxus deep. You know, game's easy. Yeah, I feel like this is probably a little too good in those situations. Now, with what one thing you mentioned, though, by the way, the play when you control power 5 or ally or greater, draw 1, that's almost never going to happen. Almost never. Because of the curve. Just because of the curve, right? Many of your cards you're playing aren't going to have that. The only ones that come to mind are Treferian Glory Seeker, which is the 5/1 Challenger can't block, which usually dies pretty quick. Or the, what's it called? The Hopeful, Treferian Hopeful, which is not really played, and it's only played in like really heavy Noxus decks, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and once you're deep, all your sea monsters draw a card. Yeah, it's perfect. The value, the value,
energy, holy shit,
the synergy, guys, it's incredible. Yeah, I think it was a smart choice to make this not the first time each turn you play. Sorry,
make 100%.
Yeah. If this was any amount, you would just be juggling Yetis out of your hand and just drawing so many cards, it'd be a joke, right?
Oh, guys, here's just the general tip when it comes to custom card design. Like, slap the first time each turn on a lot of things. Yeah. Okay. Because especially reactive stuff. Okay. Because infinite loops are surprising, like obviously very easy to achieve if you don't put like a limit on this stuff.
Yeah, well, think about it. When we all saw Cloud Drinker, we were all like,
oh boy, this is gonna break.
This is gonna break eventually. Literally a matter of time, and it did. It just does. It just happens, right?
Dude, Never Sage. I see this card. I'm like, okay. I give that 2 months to break the game. It's broken it twice so far.
Yeah. Holy shit. Hold on. Does this card invalidate Yeti Dilution? Yeah, it does. And that's one of the really powerful parts about it. Is like playing this on 4 means that you're like when you top deck that Yeti in the late game, you're totally fine. Like you're like okay. And you get the free draw, you know? So it probably is a little too consistent. How would you nerf this card? It's hard. I think
you could probably just get rid of the play effect.
The play effect is one decent nerf to it that could just help with it hurting it a little bit more. But still, even at the 4-drop range, it still does feel a little scary to me.
I feel like at 5 it's way too slow because there's so much stuff at 5 in the deck that wants to play this, you know?
This one's tough. This one is truly tough.
It is tough.
You might just have to change the play effect. Maybe like 5 mana makes it almost unplayable though. Like I don't really see. Maybe you would because you can still play Sejuani on 6. Maybe.
Yeah, 4.5 call it a day.
For 5 mana tune done easy. Yeah. So
perfect.
So for those of you who don't know, the meme in the community is anytime you want half a mana, just add a tune to it, and then you call it a day.
It's perfect, guys. Custom card design is so easy.
It's so easy, guys. Just do that. It's so free. Oh my god.
I think we're missing out. What about the nerf to the spelling?
Yeah. Definitely need to fix the spelling on this.
I'm sorry. Yeah. All right, I think we're good on this card.
We're good.
I like the concept. Very, very thematic. Very ties together, and I like the It's the Scion statue, right? Or else I'm crazy.
Yeah, this is the Scion statue that he was revived from. Yeah.
Very cool. I like the card a lot.
Yeah, me too. It works really well. Very evocative. All right.
Who made this?
Sorry, this was Mihai M59. Okay. Yeah, he's the cat avatar. Nice. All right, here we go, Dragonzilla.
Oh my god, I love it. Okay?
I love this so much. Oh my god.
Isn't it wonderful? People are coming in, it's like, oh yes, okay, I want some like extreme custom card design. It sees this freaking meme image. Yeah.
This one's great.
Yes, this is what I want.
All right, 3 mana 0/4, Drowsy Sea Ogre with Overwhelm. Attack, set my power equal to my current health this round. Oh man, we're just playing Priest now, aren't we? This is dead ass just a priest card. So this is really similar to the Light Bearer or Lightbringer card in Hearthstone, which was a 0/5 where its power is equal to its Light Spawn. Thank you. Where basically the idea is to convert your high defense buffs such as Troll Chant, Elixir of Iron, Bloodsworn Pledge, etc., into high power buffs. And that's the sort of concept around it. And it works really well because of how many sort of health effects and healing effects and granting HP effects that rLOR tends to have, right? Elixir of Iron is now a 1 mana +2/+2, right? Like that's genuinely a very powerful effect, right? And these are...
Where are these cards coming from?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, yeah.
So about like 2 weeks in advance or so, we opened up a channel on the Discord and people could just throw their stuff in and we're kind of going over those. I doubt it's going to happen just based off of how we're going, but if we have some extra cards, maybe if we have extra times when we've gone through all the cards, maybe we'll take some submissions from chat.
Yeah, exactly.
A little unlikely, to be fair.
Yeah. Actually,
I don't know.
Rixliff, that's actually funny you mentioned that. By making the attack trigger use the stack, you actually make it less interactive. And this is because of how Frostbite works, right? If you were to attack and you were to enter the stack, that means there's no way to Frostbite it.
Oh yeah,
ever,
actually no way.
Right?
Like you could stack your buffs with a bunch of burst cards. Like Failures got a ton of them, like Furrier the North, Elixir of Iron.
It also means that Silence can't do anything to it either. Silence would also not be able to do anything to it either, which is like really interesting. So this is actually a talk we often have about burst speed versus fast speed and stuff like that. Yeah, but you can burn it. Yeah, but like that's what I mean though. It's like that's like debatably like you're skipping some of the more like obvious counters to what the concept of the deck is versus just like, oh, now I can burn spell with more widespread choices. It's like some things like Frostbite now just feel awful. Like Frostbite only really has a defensive application in most situations, right? And now you're just like, sorry, you just can't use it. And it just does feel a little unfair in those situations, I think.
I think I would prefer maybe like it changes to I was thinking maybe if we change like round start.
Yeah, round start. Round start might be hypothetical instead of attack. That's definitely reasonable. But the issue with round start then is that it never has any benefits with things like Elixir of Iron or temporary buffs, which do feel kind of bad, right?
And there's a 3-mana 4/4 Overwhelm potentially, you know.
That is true. However, it also doesn't do anything on the block. So
that is true,
comparatively, to compare this to the vanilla 3-mana 4/3 Overwhelm that Noxus has, it's not like breaking the bank, so to speak. You know what I'm saying?
If you attack on evens, you can play this on 3. Open attack on 4 with Bloodsworn Pledge. It becomes an 8/8 Overwhelm. Isn't Bloodsworn Pledge +3?
It is +3, yeah. Is it? Or is it +4? Someone double check that for us. I thought it was 6 health total. If you attack on evens, you can play this on 3, open attack on 4 with Bloodsworn Pledge, and it becomes an 8/8 Overwhelm. Yeah, that is probably like the really scary parts of this. I think maybe you even put this down to 0/3 just to ensure that it's like this, because 0/4 is pretty tanky for a basic effect like this, right?
It is. 7/7 Overwhelm, you're right. Yeah, that's right. I remember the weird decks of cards I never played.
All right, I'm sure you can flex on Twitch chat some more. It's totally fine. Oh my god. But yeah, but something but then you consider other effects too, like raise its cost to 4. 4 mana 7/7. There you go.
Dude, everything devolves into 4 mana 7/7. I forgot. It's like how.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
There's one constant in card games. It's 4 mana 7/7s. Oh my god. Why do you feel like I've seen this effect before? I designed a champion based on this concept relatively recently.
I'm pretty sure I've seen this card like a bunch. Like,
and the health becomes attack power is something that's been in all card games. So it's like
it's an 8/8 with astral projection. That's a good point as well. Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, it is quite strong in those situations. You're right.
Yeah, it's very swingy. That's the thing, right? Because on block, it's like utter trash, but on attack, if you actually buff it, it can be a little wacky. Which is why I maybe should just be round start and focus on permanent buffs to try and.
It might be better for that sort of situation. Perhaps you're right. Perhaps. That might be the best case scenario for this, is to make it not synergize with short-term buff spells, but rather long-term ones. So the deck buffs of Freljord, obviously, as well as like things like we were talking about earlier, like Bloodsworn Pledge, which still work with it, but now you have to wait one turn to really see the effects of it. Yeah, I think that's relatively fair. Yeah. It's really hard for me to imagine this card being like busted when you're building a deck around it, and then they just hit Hush, and you're like, all right. Yeah, you know, that's like my thought process on it is like you can probably make this an 0/3, or you can make it what's it called, or you can just make this a round start effect so that you're looking only for those grant buffs instead. I think that's probably the better cases for it. Okay, not bad. So again, this was by Dragonzilla. Thank you so much for this. I think we have one more with Dragonzilla. Yep. We have the Fortune Teller. This is one of my favorite cards in the game. If this was added today, I'd pop off. Like, this is my favorite things ever. Okay, here we go. This is a 2 mana, 1/2. Play. Pick a card from the top 3 cards in your deck. Shuffle the rest into your deck to draw it next round start and give it fleeting. Oh my god, this card is so good. I love this card so much. I don't care, chat. This card is perfection. This card is just so good. I love it. It's so well balanced. I love this card. I'm just glad that today we have the stupid frog, the 2/3 frog.
Oh
You know
boy,
what I
the
mean?
frog.
The Fortune Croaker, just so that I can be like, hey, look, you can do this effect at 2 mana, right? This is just what's it called, Pool Shark, but bad.
Just better because
or like, you know what I mean? Like it's like
you can pick.
yeah. You can pick one of 3 cards instead, which inherently works a lot better with the fleeting, because one big issue with Pool Shark playing it early is that you're most likely going to hit something you can't play, right? And that usually feels absolutely awful, right? Because you're gonna like hit like a TF and you're like, oh fuck, you know. And there's
There goes my win condition.
yeah. There you go, right? So it's understandable in those situations that this is sort of like a more controllable version of it. I also really do appreciate that doesn't happen immediately. So not only does it make more sense for the fortune teller flavor of the card, but also it's more excusable to be like to have that level of card selection, right? Because if this happened immediately and it was fleeting, it's like, well, you're picking a card that you can play right now anyway, so the fleeting doesn't matter, right? But the thing is with this card instead, it's like, yeah, it's Pool Shark, but you choose what you draw for 1 more mana, and that's pretty good, I think. I
think it's good. It's also obviously like very in line with what Bilgewater does.
Yes, exactly, and it's sort of like this card cheating, card like manipulation plus fleeting thing works super well for them. So
I like it a lot.
I think this card is this is one of the few cards I've actually pinned on the Discord because I think it's an incredible design. I think it's just really, really good. It's my favorite.
You hear that, guys? It gets the Skilled Roy seal of approval.
Yeah, we put it on the fridge for everyone to take a look at.
Bolted it to his wall, right next to Precious Pet.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, this obviously goes super well with Go Hard. I think that's a pretty obvious one. But
oh yeah, hey man, want to draw your Go Hard?
Yeah. Mommy and Dad are just so proud of it. Yeah, that's just how it is. Okay. So next, let's go ahead and take a look at the next card we have. Again, this was also by Dragonzilla. Thank you so much for the submission. Next, we have Shadows Revealed. This is a 0 mana card. Remove ephemeral from an ephemeral ally to create an ephemeral copy of it in hand. I believe this was by Revlid, I believe. I love the concept. I really do. I do, okay? I really do love the concept.
It's scary at 0. It's so terrifying.
It's just so terrifying at 0, man. Like, can you imagine you getting to play turns 1 and 2, no problem? Play the goddamn 3 mana 5/5 lifestealer, and then you're like, so Shadows Revealed. Not only do I get to keep that card, but now I have another one in my hand. It's a little too good.
You want permanent healing and also an extra healing just in case you want more later?
I just feel if this card got printed, it would just demolish aggro decks so badly. Oh man, I think it's just too good at 0. It's very frightening at 0.
Then? Like 2 or something?
It would have to be like okay, well, like Deathmark to get that dream curve. To make that dream curve work, like you
do nothing.
You do nothing, right? Yeah, for the first 2 turns. That's a pretty steep cost against aggro decks, right? And the fact that you get the 5/5 lifesteal afterwards, and then they can still respond to it because they can kill their own unit with, like, say, Noxian Fervor, Glimpse Beyond, etc., to deny you the ephemeral. Those are all very substantial, legitimate changes to the card, right? But since it's burst speed, 0 mana. Oh my god.
Yeah, no. 100% it's nutty at 0.
At 0, it's like, way too powerful.
What do you think it would be different at? What do you think would make it a little bit easier?
Is 2 fine?
I don't know.
2 fine?
Even 2 might be too little because you're effectively like create an ephemeral copy of it in hand. Like, it's so strange because like there aren't too many cards that are tossing ephemeral around from one another.
Yeah, the comparison point is Deathmark. Deathmark is fast speed but lets you kill something. So is this also fair at 3 since it's burst speed and you get a card back for free? Is that fair? It's a really good question.
I mean, removing ephemeral from something isn't potentially.
Yeah, it's good.
It really depends. Dude, that octopus is nutty. Okay. Seriously.
Yeah.
We're like thinking like of most ephemeral stuff. It's like, whatever, low health totals, who cares, whatever. But then there's the octopus.
Yeah. Truly, the octopus has fucked up so much ephemeral design because that thing is so scary. If that octopus ever was allowed to like be a normal unit for anything close to 0, it's just like, oh god. You just don't want to play in that game. You really would not want to play that game because that game is a game where everyone lives to 3,000 health, and like and aggro decks are cease to exist.
Eviscerated from the world.
Yeah. Because like
put it at like 3 maybe.
I think 2 or 3. 2 if you want to push it. 3 is fair. I think
3 if you want fairness.
3 is like fair, and I think it would still be played. 2 mana is where if you want this card to be very good, right? I just I get it's meant to be an inverted Fading Memories, but like Fading Memories is already very playable, and this is already kind of scarier than that in many ways. Giving Ionia this card copying is a big deal. That is fair, but it's worth mentioning that they don't really have many great ways to grant.
Oh, this is Ionia.
Yeah, it's
I'm
Ionia.
not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's similar to Deathmark.
My brain was like Shadow Files.
No, come
but
on.
It doesn't matter. The octopus is still played in like Ionia Shadow
Well, yeah,
Files.
exactly. It's Deathmark. Exactly. It's the same deck. You'd run in the same deck. But yeah, I think Revelid's point with this was that removing Ephemeral could very easily be an Ionian mechanic, whereas granting Ephemeral is going to be more of a
that's cool. That's cool.
Which is a nice differentiation, which is great. This will make Caustic Cask. Oh my god.
It's true, guys. It's true. The meta. Oh my god. Blows up.
Yeah.
They can't handle the Caustic Cask.
Thank God that's a collectible card, by the way, that you can open.
Yeah, very cool. To be fair to them, okay, listen. They flat out admitted that a lot of those cards, like, hey man, if we were designing them, now we would make them tokens, okay?
Yeah. Because that card is just like, what? Bless my Prismatic Epic Chest and Atone for Sins. Okay, I bless it. Hopefully you get Golden Nocturne. Nocturne's my boy. What if you let this target enemies? Oh, it makes it stronger, yeah, but like
I think that's really irrelevant. Like that's
irrelevant.
So matchup dependent, and I don't know. Maybe you're playing I don't know, like in some weird future where like there is a crazy deck that put. No, but then like why would you? No, I really don't think. I really don't think.
Yeah.
Like if the goal is putting Ephemeral on someone else, then why would you remove it on that dude just to get a copy of it in your hand? It's really weird.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a relatively fair look at the card so far. Thank you so much, Revelid, for sending us in. I think we have 1 or 2 more cards by him. I can't remember. We have Abandoned Egg. Oh, yeah, this one. Yeah, so Abandoned Egg. This is a 3 mana.
Revelid, how many times have you iterated on this one card? I swear to God.
This is
I've seen it so many times. Yeah. It's a good card. I want to preface that.
Yeah.
Good cool card.
And I would have agreed with 3 mana in a world without iterative improvements. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so 3 mana, 0/4, immobile, vulnerable. Increase my cost by 1. Then if I cost 8, kill me. Summon a dragon follower that costs 1 more. So this at minimum will always get you a 4/4 almost every time. I don't think there's any dragon that goes below that. I could be wrong. Do we? I don't think there is, right? There's no dragon that's below 4/4.
There's a 3 mana dragon. I don't think there's a 3 mana dragon.
Yeah. So yeah, this is really cool.
I like the counter. I like the counter on round start. I like that concept. I do think that because it's literally just a. It's a
3 mana. It's a 3 mana 0/4 that summons always a 4/4 cost dragon.
At the minimum.
At the minimum, White Flame is the lowest. Yes. So this is always at minimum as a 3 mana 0/4 that summons a 4/4 dragon. I think the true scary part of this card is I think. Against aggro just doesn't give a shit, right? They're just gonna be like, all right, see you on turn 11, dude. Yeah, there's like,
dude, you wasted 3 mana on a stupid egg. Okay, I don't care. Keep going.
I think actually the closest comparison point to this is, and Revlin might kill me for comparing this. Actually, this is really similar to Slaughter Docs. Actually,
it is. Yeah,
it's actually really close to that, and I know Revlin would refuse to admit that landmarks exist in this game, but this is very similar to Slaughter Docs, and to me that's really interesting. I do really love how the cost was the choice here to as it sort of ramps up, and makes logical sense too. 3 mana egg, 4 mana dragon, 4 mana egg, 5 mana dragon, so on.
It really is Slaughter Docs.
It literally is just Slaughter Docs. It really is just Slaughter Docs. And like,
because I was gonna counterpoint with like, oh, okay, well you can pop it early based off of like some Shadow Isles nonsense potentially, but then I'm like, wait, you could technically pop it early if you have like jettisons because you could do like
literally it's very similar to, especially the similar deck because it's usually SI.
It's like round start.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, yeah. Hypothetically, I guess the bigger abuse case with this is going to be something like Chronicler of Ruin, right? Like
exactly, and then you got another egg.
Yeah, but I mean, at least at that point, like, sure, you got another egg, but it's back at 3, so it's just like, okay,
Yeah.
you know, like it takes even more turns to ramp up. So if you're cracking it for anything worth of value, like a 6/6 or a 5/5, you're still going back to basics, so to speak, right? So it's
You
like,
wait to 10, you summon Aurelion.
Our Celestials followers too, they're not considered for this. No, you cannot get those off of random generation effects. That's
It's a
why.
follower.
That's why
Okay,
you
good.
can't like use jailbreak and get the 30/30 1 mana card, right?
Darn. So
Truly,
sad.
truly unfortunate.
Oh god.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
get my 30/30 overwhelm.
Oh
one
yeah,
mana.
yeah. Watch out! You can shady character your 7-cost egg.
It's true. It's true.
That's fair. That's fair. But yeah, I do like the concept a lot. Very, very cool. Crocolith plus egg. Yeah, that's a fair comparison point. Because they're definitely not going to kill this thing, right? No one will ever try to kill this thing.
The vulnerable is almost like
Upside? Skill testing for your opponent to kill themselves? Yeah, I guess so.
IQ test. IQ test.
I don't know. Like, would you ever try to pop this early? I mean, I guess for lifesteal decks, and I guess for decks that that have an answer for the dragon of that cost, right? Like, if you can kill this early on 4 and 6, right?
Yeah. The real issue with this is that it's gonna generate something eventually of value.
I think this is just really... I like the
The
concept a lot.
Docs exists, and that's still
Yeah.
That's the thing.
This is so up there for me. I think it's fine. I truly think it's fine. It's just like... I'm trying to imagine it. I'm just trying to imagine it. I'm sorry, chat. I'm trying my best to imagine this. It's very powerful. It's very, very powerful. And so I'm just trying to figure out how to, like...
I think the fact the fact that Docs will pop itself on round start. Okay, so even if you go deep, you can't benefit from it just yet. The fact that you yourself can pop it whenever you want effectively, and okay, let's go for the attack, let's go for the whatever.
It was very important that this wasn't just like can't block, for example. Like this was very intelligently designed with its keywords.
No, can't block. Making it mobile is very good.
Yeah, that if it had any ability to block or attack, it would be nuts. I'm just thinking a lot on this. I'm thinking a lot on this.
4 health is also kind of
cost 1 more is a problem. Yeah, would you make this cost equal?
and make the egg 4 mana?
Therefore giving them a chance to touch the egg on resolution, because at least that way they can answer it 1-1, right? There's a thought for that. There's a thought for that. Do you think it should be summoned next round start? That might be fair too.
I think so too. Yeah.
If you silence it, you can block with it and make sure it dies. Oh, yeah, 3,000 IQ. Silence.
There you go.
Silence the egg so
now
I can block with it.
With portals.
Yeah. I mean, Demacia does have single combat. That's the big one. That's their quote-unquote glimpse beyond, right?
Yeah.
But like that point, you're spending 2 mana and a 3 mana card to get an egg, which then summons a dragon, which is like, okay, sure.
I think
it's almost playable. I think this is really close.
Yeah,
this is really close. I think the subtlest nerf you could do this card is make the egg cost equal. So that way, if the opponent has an initial answer for it, because let's be honest, you're playing this after the opponent attacks almost 90% of the time, right? Like they attack you on turn 3, you play this after their attack, or you play this on turn 3.
But the argument that you could pop it without a result is hinging on the idea that we never get a 3-cost dragon follower. Ever. Yeah,
but I would assume in that hypothetical universe, the 3-cost dragon follower would be bad. You know?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. Like, the one thing I don't like about this right now is that the minimum case is you trade 1 for 1, you get a 4/4. And then the maximum case gets crazy, right? Like,
I would honestly say make it lower health so the opponent can pop it when they want a little easier.
It's weird. I actually disagree.
Really
I actually do disagree with that. Want to know why?
Sure.
Because if you make this like 2 health, for example, it just dies to incidental damage like Avalanche, and then you're just fucked. You know what I mean? Like in a weird way, for last breath cards like this, having high health is actually a downside. In a weird way, you can make it 3 maybe, but
3 can't really die to incidental damage as much. But then again, it's like 3 is a lot of investment.
I figure single combat would be harder to trigger with this. Exactly, yeah. See, that's what I figured. Because that way, single combat and Avalanche aren't just free wins. It's interesting. It's very interesting. You can't attack with it, so health is a downside. Exactly. You can't block with it. Sorry, yeah, you can't block with it, so health is a downside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think personally, I'd make it not cost 1+ more. I think we spent a lot of time on this.
Yeah.
But dying to avalanche creates good decisions. It does. But I think it's still too good in those situations where you're just like, oh, I'm happy.
I spent a lot of time on it because it is an interesting card.
Yeah, this is really close. This is like a card I could genuinely see getting printed, and it's really, really interesting.
Yeah. It reminds me of those Hearthstone eggs.
It's very similar to the Hearthstone eggs.
I like the Hearthstone egg cards.
Yeah, the main counters are recall, of course, obliterate, of course, capture it. Yep. Dragon in combat sounds. There are plenty of counters, definitely.
If you capture it, capture
resets the cost.
Resummons a new. Yeah, it's
it resummons the cost.
Unit.
Yeah, which is a huge issue for it.
I think we should move on to some of the other cards, though.
Yeah, let's move on to other cards, because this is really close. I think the debate is how strong do you want dragons to be? And dragons right now aren't incredibly powerful, so the debate is really going to be how happy are you with this pushing the dragon deck? And that's a fair point. I think it's also very important that this is not dragon type, by the way. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, 100%.
That was a very intelligent decision. Okay, next card. Worm Mystics. This is another Revlid card. This is one of his dragon cards he really wants to sort of like push forward. And one thing I really like is that when you're designing dragons, giving them early dragons is really bad because of Vox. Because if Vox exists, you want to have a consistent basis for dragons you're going to get. Like when you get kill with Vox, you know you're getting at minimum a 4/4, right? If you were to add like a 2-mana Whelpling type card, right, that's a dragon, it's just going to fuck up Vox so badly.
It's going to mess this pool up so much.
Yeah.
I really don't think they're ever going to... Well, maybe they will.
Maybe they will.
But as long as Vox is in rotation...
Yeah.
They're probably not going to introduce the dragon below 3, or at least 2.
Right. So instead, what they're doing instead, which Revlid is sort of catching on here, is that they give us dragon synergistic cards that work and are thematically appropriate as like humans who work with dragons, or humans who've tamed dragons, or humans who ride dragons, or humans who do dragon fanboys. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like Herald of Dragon, the Dragon Guard Lieutenant, Dragon Sims. Hey, that's banned on Twitch. You can't do that.
No, guys, shut the stream down.
Streams down.
Shut it down.
Yeah. So, Scalies. Oh God. Here we go. So this one, let's talk about this card though. 3 mana, 1/4, Worm Mystic. When a dragon ally attacks or activates its fury, heal it 1. Yeah.
So one thing is that like the fury keyword is like this. I don't like it either, but it's like it's a tribe keyword. Okay, all dragons will have furies pretty much.
Almost.
Except for Shuvan.
No, Empyrean. Empyrean doesn't have fury.
Okay, but that was retroactively changed to a dragon. Yeah, at that point, you might as well be like, Dragonling doesn't have fury.
Yeah. That's my next one.
I hate you.
Steelguard, hey, I'll have you know, we here at rLOR tournaments, we don't drink that much Coke. We definitely don't. We definitely don't drink a lot of Coke, because it's not healthy for you. You shouldn't drink that much Coke in your daily life.
Jesus.
It is
What
like
the hell,
generally not a good thing.
I'm sitting here with a glass of milk, okay? A singular glass of milk.
Yeah.
Anyway, though, like you could probably... Anyway, the point is what I was trying to get to is that you could probably remove the dragon ally aspect of it and just be like when an ally activates Fury to make it similar to Vox in that case. When it attacks or activates Fury, heal 1.
Wait, so basically what this is saying, the way Revlid's designed this is that it heals damage it already has, and then after it goes into combat, it then heals a second time. So basically, hypothetically...
And Fury itself heals you 1, so that's like 3.
Fury heals you... Yeah, so basically you could hypothetically heal 3 in big quotation marks, right? And for a 3-mana 1/4, I'm like mostly okay with that, in all honesty. It's just like, sure, I guess. Like, it's not like... It's not very broken in many ways. It seems... quite fair, and honestly, because like the real ideal curve for this is you need to hit Screeching Dragon, right? Like this effect almost doesn't matter, almost doesn't matter most of the time, and you need to have challengers to make this like super relevant, and that's pretty fair, I think. You know, like I think it's relatively fine to have this sort of concept.
I feel like the healing on attack is kind of weird. Healing
on attack is a little odd, perhaps. You could very easily make it like whenever it activates Fury, heal 2. Yeah, like you could just swap the numbers around.
Yeah.
I assume the impression of giving it on attack was just to ensure that they were able to heal ahead of time. I also do appreciate this is Targon, by the way, which already has a huge sub theme of healing. That's a very smart decision there. So yeah, it's very possible. This with judgment is a full heal. Oh man.
Oh man.
You know what? After after someone resolves judgment on me, I'm like, oh man, he healed a bunch. That's why I'm gonna lose. You know what I mean? Oh man. I feel like if you ever resolve a judgment in a dragon deck, you kind of just won the game most of the time already. But yeah, not bad. I think this is a cool, cute design. Really solid.
I like it, yeah.
I think you'd easily move the heal around if you really are concerned about it being a little odd, that it heals before the attack. But
the wording that's a little strange, like attacks or activates Fury, heal at 1. I feel like just activate Fury, heal 2 is a lot cleaner. You can remove the dragon out. Sorry?
Sorry, no, I
agree. Cut out?
No, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, you're right. Hypothetically, if you want to make it like a little bit cleaner, you can make it that. It's functionally identical in most situations. The only real difference is like pre-combat damage, right? The attack heal just even up the output. Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. I understand. All right, thank you, revLid. Let's see what else we have going here. Hang on one second. Okay.
Let's try to limit it to make it so we're not doing like too many of the same person.
Yeah, of course.
I believe this is
revLid. Yeah. So
this is gonna be the last revLid card.
Okay, last revLid card for sure. Okay.
No, I know there's one card. Was he also the one that did the 0/3 like strike on a? Because I want to talk about that one too.
Oh, the 0/3. I can't remember. I'm sorry, I can't remember at all.
I submitted like 8,000 cards. Start skipping.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Okay, well, we'll do one more. We did like 3 of Douglas. We'll do at least two of revLid. So 3 mana, 3/2, fearsome. Let's be honest. The real reason I want to do this card is because I love fearsome. So support, kill my supported ally. The strongest attacking ally gains its stats this round.
I like it. I have no issue with this one.
My only issue with this is that it completely feels like it dunks on Stirred Spirits. Stirred Spirits.
But Stirred Spirits
is bad. Man. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Tell you.
This is like really cool, and I love it a lot conceptually. I really do think support, kill, and allies should be around more often. It's a really solid way to do these sort of effects.
Definitely for Shadow Isles, yeah.
Definitely for Shadow Isles. Like, it makes so much sense. I think of one design version of this we often seen is the one where it's a dragon and has Fury. Right, so that way when you're killing an ally, it triggers its own Fury. I think that's a design we are literally gonna have one day. It was literally what if Stirred Spirits was good. That's what I'm saying. This is literally just better. It's just better Stirred Spirits.
What if I just made it better?
Yeah. This card is spicy. This card is very spicy.
It's very cool.
Mistwraith plus some random elusive. Yeah, killing a Mistwraith with this and transferring it to anyone with elusive is kind of wild. Yeah, this card is probably still too good. I think you have to make it a 2/2. Like it's already efficient, you know?
Does it even need fearsome? Is the real question.
That's an interesting question. So we know for a fact that a 2 mana 3/2 with a relatively relevant tribe tag is worth 2 mana, right? So 3/2 fearsome is worth 2 mana, right? And fearsome is one of the fastest appreciating keywords in the game, right? The later in a game that fearsome goes, like a 5 mana, like 5/5 fearsome is almost irrelevant what the fearsome says. You know what I mean? Fearsome is very much something you need a lot of it, and it needs to be explicitly in a situation where fearsome is the good. Lets you not die when you swing in with it. Yeah, exactly. The fearsome, if you're gonna lower the attack, it needs the fearsome. The fearsome is there to keep it around and let it survive, right? Otherwise, it's just going to die on attack. And that's one of the main issues with all support cards. All support cards have this very specific issue where they're all trash because if they ever have to go into combat, they die, right? And that just lets them explode, and that's kind of it. Meant as Hecarim support for giving him health and overwhelm power by killing one of his horses, especially if he's leveled, and buffing them. Oh, that's really cool because
that does work. Yeah, that does work.
That does work. That is
it
how
will spawn it to the left of him. It will. Yep.
Yeah, that works perfectly.
That is very
That's
cool.
really cool. I really do love that a lot.
I do like how it works with tokens. It should work with like any summoning ephemeral, anything. Yeah, summoning any attacker.
Yeah,
will work with this.
Yes.
That's very cool.
Which is really nice. I really do like that a lot, and that's really cool. Do you? The craziest nerf you could do to this card is making it the strongest ally instead of strongest attacking ally. Which that's so niche, really. You know what I mean?
That just like feels bad, you know.
It just feels bad, right? Like, it gives you less control. No. Yeah, it's not a good idea. I think you make this a 2/2. I think you make this a
Yeah,
2/2
that
and
should
call
be
it a day. Yeah, I think it's a very powerful effect, and since you can control it to only hit itself too, it's a little concerning to me too, right? Like you hit an Undying with this, right? You hit an Undying with this onto itself, things like that. 2/2 I think is pretty. 2/2 is super solid. I think this card could. This concept is so good. Support kill my ally. Why has it not been done yet? it's so obvious for SI to have that as their support card. It's so bizarre to me that it's not like relevant.
Stirred spirits.
Stirred spirits, guys.
About? Don't you want to turn things ephemeral and give them meager +2 attack?
Yeah, dude, I can't wait. Okay, so next, let's go ahead and just go to the next one here. So Stalemate was also Revlet. Let's skip ahead here to Companion. This is one we really wanted to talk a lot about. Companion is fucking cool.
Oh man, okay. I'm sorry, chat. Your eyeballs are about to get blasted by a bunch of cards.
Yeah. Okay. So we're hang on. So.
Hey, zoom in on the keyword. Like, what are we dealing with?
Yeah.
What are we dealing with?
Let's zoom in on the keyword here. So this is a unique keyword made by Klutz, Captain Klutz. Amazing design overall. This is one of my favorite keywords I've ever seen designed by the community before. So fucking cool.
It's a very good
Strict Spirits would be okay if it had Fury Sim. I agree. So, Companion, play. I accompany an ally, attaching to it like an effect. When it's removed from play, I am summoned. This is very similar to the bestow mechanic in Magic the Gathering. It's exactly what it seems like how Yuumi works in League of Legends. Attaches to someone, and when that person dies, they pop out. Now, what's important to note, though, this is not a what's it called? Optional effect. You must play onto someone. So when you have a companion unit on your hand, it has to play onto the board and join on top of it immediately.
What's the difference between companion and capture? Just flavor. Capture would I don't think you can capture from the hand, so it probably would have to hit the board first.
You would be able to mimic the same sort of thing with when I'm captured by something effects, and with play capture, someone captures me immediately.
Like honestly, think of them like, what's the best way? Think of them like buff spells that use minion mana and then summon themselves when the guy they're attached to dies, basically.
Yeah, exactly, basically. But yeah, so let's look at some of these.
Nico is not a companion. Listen here, you, Sarah the Red.
Okay. So let's talk about it. So first things first. The first one we have here is Yuumi.
You may need to shift over a little bit.
I need to shift over. I need to like turn off the image here. There you go. Okay, so Yuumi is a 2-mana 2/2.
Yeah, there you go. Shut it off.
Yeah, there you go.
Who cares about those other people anyway?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, it's a 2-mana 2/2 with companion, so it has to be attached to someone immediately. Round end, if they're not companioning, they have to return me to hand. Now, what that should say is recall me, right? Like that's what it should say. My accompanied unit has +2/+2. Pretty simple. So it's a 2-mana 2/2 permanent buff that attaches to someone, and when it pops out, it's a 2/2, and then it returns back to hand. So basically, it's kind of like a repeatable 2-mana grant 2/2 consistently, right?
That's so good with Yuumi. Just trying to connect her back to her her League of Legends counterpart, because when the person dies, she sticks around potentially for a little bit and then needs to reattach.
Yeah.
So that's like, I'm around for a little bit until the round end, where I'll go back to hand.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say with this set, I love it. I do think the wording should. I don't think accompanying, and accompanied is a really clean word.
Yeah, especially when you look at Yuumi level 2, it's just like a lot of yellow text.
Like if I'm not accompany allies, like it's a bit much. It's a bit wordy.
If you play Fleet Feather Tracker on turn 1, then play Yuumi on it, will it get Challenger? No, because another unit was not summoned. This one thing we asked ahead of time was that. Do they count as being summoned? And they do not count as being summoned until after they fall off.
It is really like a spell. It is almost like a spell.
They're basically just spells.
I think. No, because if they don't go summon, that's very strange, actually.
Yeah, because when you play them, they don't go to the board. They are basically spells in many ways.
They don't activate summons.
They don't activate summons because they're not actually attaching something. Yuumi stats might be too good though. Maybe. Yeah, giving +2/+2 on 2 mana is permanently, quote unquote, and you get to do it repeatedly is probably too efficient, right? Like, you could probably keep her as a 2-mana 2/2 and then give her, like, +1/+1 even. Like, even giving something like that is not too bad. Like, especially on things like Zed.
My accompanied unit has +1/+1, and I am a Poro.
yeah. This is one of my favorite ones. Is Portal.
What is this?
It's a 1-mana 1/1 with companion. My accompanied unit has +1/+1, and I am a Poro.
Oh
it's so great. How many times have you wanted your Braum to join the giant death ball of Poros? Well, now you can.
Dude, you want Ledros to be in there too? Dude, you got it.
Yeah,
Easy.
man. It's so cute. Like the Portal one is like one of my favorite ones. It's a very adorable, very fun sort of concept.
I will admit though, okay, this is not the creator's fault. It's just how they've tackled this like multi tribe name thing. That started with the I am a dragon thing with the what's his name? The Great Beyond.
The Great Beyond, yep.
Why? Please just add extra text.
Nah, man. I want on my Lee Sin, I am a dragon. Okay, just add that. It wouldn't even be hard. You don't even have to give him.
Cool.
Don't even give him the typing. Don't even give him the typing. Just have it underneath. I am a dragon.
How cool would it be if it said Celestial Dragon? Come on.
Oh my god.
Come on.
It's so good. All right, anyways, let's look at some of these cards here. So then we have Tiny Tufel, which is grant my company unit -2/0.
Did we go over Yumi level?
Oh, we don't. I think we did. Sorry, my apologies. Yeah, same thing basically. Oh, it's functionally identical. It just becomes a +3/+3 and then has regeneration. But it's all accompanied allies. One thing to note there, it's all accompanied allies, not just the one that she's on, which is quite
what's the level up condition again? Like, is it just her?
3 accompanied allies have attacked.
No, that's not too hard. That should be. Well, actually, wait a second. That's quite
difficult at certain situations, depending how you look at it. That seems really low, but you have to remember that you're having not only a unit on the board, but then an accompanying unit on top of them.
And then 3 of those, and they have to attack.
And they have to attack. Yeah, it is a bit of an ask. It is a bit of an ask. Yeah, but you can't hush it to stop enemy Shyvana from leveling up. Yeah.
Actually, can you hush the accompanied away?
Assumedly, yeah. Right?
Jeez.
They're just gone.
Goodbye, creature.
They are text. They are text, right? It'd be no different than you silencing a buff on them. So, yeah.
There are no dragons in Ionia. I remember that argument.
Yeah, don't worry. It's already very quickly become out. That was so funny because then I found that one clip, that one picture of an Ionian dragon just demolishing a market, and I was just like, "What the fuck is that?" Oh my god!
Figment of your imagination.
Yeah, clearly.
The rest of these cards.
Yeah, anyways, let's keep going. So, Teeny Tufel, 2 mana, 2/3, which again, this is the stats don't actually matter on these because they have to attach something first. Grant my accompanying unit -2/0, and when it dies, grant me +2/0. This is actually a negative SI one where it lowers its own attack, and then later it becomes a 2 mana 4/3. Basically, it's actually very similar to turning someone into a curse keeper, isn't it? Because she pops out as a 4/3. Right?
A little bit, yeah,
in a way.
I like the flavor there. She's like stealing your essence or something.
Yeah.
Then when you die.
It's really cute. It's a negative companion, right? It's like a cursed companion, right? I almost feel like you should tie it more closely to Curse Keeper just to really hammer home that flavor because
Shadow Isles card. Okay.
It's very similar to that, right? Because it's Shadow Isles card, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, not bad.
Yeah, this Nico one's wacky.
This Nico one is a little wacky. So
it's
everyone.
It's a little concerning type of wacky as well.
Yeah. But that's what I mean. Like when you're making these sort of designs, it's really good to go really splashy with these effects. Because if let's say you design a champion and you post it to the subreddit or the Discord, and it just doesn't resonate with people, people will discredit your entire keyword because they think it's just bad because the way you've implemented it is bad. But some of these are actually really, really cool and they're really solid. And I think that's what's really, really important here is that like, sure, I'm not a huge fan of the Yumi, for example, but Portal and like Teeny Tufel, I love them, right? And like that is great, right? And that's part of it.
Insane, man.
Yeah.
Portal.
Okay. Nico, play 5 mana 2/4, so very understated. Summon an exact 2/4 copy of a random non-Nico champion in your deck or hand, and I accompanying it. So this is effectively like it says random, but it doesn't really mean random because realistically speaking, your most decks are 2 champions, so you're just summoning the other champion, right?
Probably just get rid of the word random and just make it so it operates by like thresh logic.
Yeah, that's probably the best way. Thresh logic is generally pretty solid there. So basically, the flavor here is kind of cute. Basically, how it works is when she's transformed into that champion, when it dies, it's like her clone. You know what I mean? So she pops out afterwards, which is a really cute way to sort of do Nico. Because one big issue I'm having with Nico designs I usually see is that a lot of Nico designs are, unfortunately, they are conceptually like don't actually work how she works in lore. You know what I mean? Nico Tryndamere. Yeah. Nico Tryndamere is the big one. That is the true one that like.
Well, we do want to mention for a second, okay? That card, this Nico card, is insane. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, like, I think we all know this should cost more. This is a 5 mana summon a champion from your deck, so summon an 8 soul. You know, like.
Yeah, exactly.
We all know that's overpowered.
You can summon like literally like, I don't know, two versions of some champions, but sometimes effects, maybe not existing now, but just future proofing stuff. Future proofing is also a very important concept.
Yeah,
when it comes
exactly.
To this. Like if the effect of the champion is so intense, then it won't even matter what the body is half the time.
Yeah,
okay, so something a 2/4 Aurelion Soul, I don't care, man. That's an Aurelion Soul.
Yeah, it's still going to be insane. Nico Karma makes Karma tutorable. Yep, exactly. There's a bunch of ways this card very quickly breaks, which is probably the biggest downside of it, right? And then the fact is, like, also if you've played 4+ companion allies, then every round start it constantly keeps copying. So you just have like
that's insane.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like this Nico is clearly overtuned, but the conceptualization of it is not bad.
Yeah, there's like a lot of cool stuff going on. It's just whoa, that's scary.
Yeah, but this is kind of what I mean by like we need to make sure you look at your characters' designs, make sure they all seem fair, because this is like very clearly crazy, you know. So just like, but because there's other companion cards to look at, we can sort of adjust and sort of talk more about the other ones.
You gotta tweak the level 1 or the level 2. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think summoning a copy of a champion just like out of nowhere is like almost ever gonna be really balanced.
Yeah, it's always going to be kind of nuts. So next up we have Bandle City
maybe
Expert.
a 1/1, maybe a 1/1, but it really depends.
Okay, so Bandle City Expert is a 4-mana 2/3 with Companion. My accompanied unit has elusive and +1/0.
Can you zoom in? Like it's.
I can't because it's going to be like this.
What? Oh no.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll go into that after, but it's pretty easy to understand. It's a companion that when it's accompanying, it gives +1/0 and elusive. Yeah, that's like a pretty fine, honestly. Like it's like we know that granting elusive permanently is 2 mana burst speed, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. 4 mana Stumpworks map and 1 attack. I think that's pretty weak.
Wait, okay. To be fair, it is 4 mana Stumpworks map. Give +1/+0 and last breath summon a 2/3.
Right, but but are you excited to ever summon a 2/3 after you've invested elusive into an elusive? You know what I mean? Like it's like oh, I got a 2/3.
Just calling it a 4 mana Stumpworks map is not exactly what it is.
Yeah, you're right. It's almost worse because
1/1 Aurelion Small. There we go.
Yeah, Aurelion Small. Yeah. Fade Guide does better, exactly. Fade Guide is just this but better, and that's kind of the downside. Is that this is very just a bad Fade Guide. The only ever situation where you prefer this is like Ruination, and that's just about it, right?
When we initially went over the cards, I think the one of the things you brought up is that a lot of the accompany cards, like they're so focused on their effects when they accompany, it's that their actual bodies when they come out are kind of underwhelming or a little bit just nothing.
Yeah, and what I'd almost prefer is for be more of a 50-50 split. So make the effects weaker, but make the bodies when they pop out decent at least, right?
Yeah, like Teeny Tuffle is like perfect.
Perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, that's exactly.
Like it does something on accompany, and its behavior during the accompany affects its body on the board. Like that's really cool.
Exactly. But meanwhile, like the Battle City Expert is just like people are noting in chat right now. It's just a bad Battle City guide, which is just like, I'm sorry, Fey guide. Sorry guys, my bad. Apologies. But yeah. Now let's talk about a really cool one. A story for another time. Recall an ally. If it's a companion, reduce its cost to 0 this turn. This is not as overpowered as many people might hypothetically think, just because of how companion works. You always need to have a unit on the board already. It's already a worse version of recall, right? And if you notice, a lot of these companion cards, a lot of them are like really cheap already, right? 2, 4 is the most expensive one. 2, and Nico herself doesn't actually have companion herself, so she can't even be affected by this, right? So. It's actually an interesting point here that this actually doesn't actually give you that much of a mana discount, because not only
also
is it one more. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just the time frame to actually use this is pretty rough as well, because you need to play it, then it needs to die, then you can only use it when it's actually on the board.
Yeah, it's
like in that moment, and it can be countered obviously by the opponent trying to just kill the thing. Yeah,
but I do like it conceptually. It's like it's enough of a powerful card that it's still going to be powerful with that effect, but it's certainly not untouchable. You know what I mean?
This guy, he used the term this turn. It should be this round. 0 to 10 card.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh yeah, one thing, guys.
From my eyes.
Turns do not exist in Legends of Runeterra. Remember, everybody, turns do not exist.
Actually,
it's
it could be possible. It could be possible that like passing initiative, like when you actually get the ability to do
like,
something, that
counting that as a
could be
turn.
called a turn. That could be called a turn.
That could be eventually one day if they ever decide to like capitalize on that sort of design space. I could see
That's
it.
because the blue button specifically refers to it as turn.
Oh, does it? Oh,
So,
that's
yeah.
right. That's right. It does. Yeah, it does. It
Yeah.
does. You're right.
Uh-oh.
Dun dun dun.
Okay, Battle City Brave.
Okay, Battle City Brave. So play, grant an ally +1/+1. If it's a companion, it accompanies me, and I'm granted +1/+1. Very cool concept. So it picks up
cool.
it picks up a companion, so to speak, and it itself is only a 3-mana 2/3, and it's conditionally, hey, if you already had a companion on the floor, which means it had to fall off some unit already, which means that like your ideal target for this is actually quite small. You know what I mean? Because to play this on curve, right? It would need to hit a 1-drop or 2-drop companion that died on turn 2, right?
Does the accompanied unit immediately give it the stats that it has? Wait, scroll back up to the effect.
1 second.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's up?
It's like I'm waiting for the stream to catch up.
Yeah. No. A companion has nothing to do with stats at all.
Yeah. So it's weird. What are you giving it +1/+1 for? Won't that go away on the resummon?
Well, it's just to make it more usable on other cards, right?
Oh, okay.
It's just to make the card decent. It's to make the card a 3-mana 3/4 no matter what, right?
Fine. Yeah, fine.
Right. Yes, it doesn't directly synergize twice with companion, but at least it makes sense that it does something different. I mean, it does also pick up that unit. So, like for example, let's say you play. Let's say you have 2 1-drops. You play Portal onto your 2-drop or whatever. Sorry, onto your 1-drop on turn 2. It dies. Portal pops out. You play Battle City Brave on 3. You give the Portal +1/+1. It loses it, jumps onto you. You become a 3/4 plus the +1/+1, and you're a Poro. So like, it's not bad. It's not. It's
you're
just,
a Poro.
And you're a Poro.
Infinite value.
Dude, if I could be a Poro, yo, what? I wish I was a Poro, man. You know that meme where don't touch me. Sorry, don't turn me into a marketable plushie. It's like that, but I want to turn into a Poro. Please just turn me into a Poro. Laurent Bladekeeper with the same stats, but gives 1 less stats for 1 less mana. Yeah, exactly. It's very similar to Laurent Bladekeeper. I think that's probably the biggest issue here is that like the vanilla use of it giving +1/+1 is the scary part here. You could very easily make this give it +1/+0 even, right? Like that's not too bad. Benno Brave is great with Portal and Yuumi. Yeah, it's very good with Yuumi and very good with Portal. But here's the thing to remember, guys. It also has to be able to... Those units have to have died, remember. Right? Because the thing is that the companion can't just be played on the ground. It has to be played onto another unit, and then that unit has to leave the board. So it's not like... It's not
these
like
windows of opportunity are pretty small.
Yeah, you can't just like play Yuumi vanilla on turn 2 and then play this on top of it, right? It has to be played onto something, which is incredibly spooky, right? Because that means you like a turn 1 Portal is unplayable until you have another play to play on top of, right? You remember the companion is not an option; it's a must. So that if I could play as a unit, no, these cannot be played as units. They have to be played as
they're basically little spells.
They're
like
basically all
that
spells.
I use minion mana.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's quickly go through these 3
Yeah,
cards.
we have 5 minutes left, so let's finish the last ones up here. Next is Surprise Piggyback. This is a 2-mana card. Pick an accompanied ally. Its companion accompanies a different ally until round end. Now,
that's so much shuffling. Holy.
It's a lot of shuffling, especially at burst speed. My question with it, though, is how does it work with round end? Does it reattach to the original one, or does it just fall off, or... How exactly? I think we need Klutz in here to clarify.
I assume it would go back to its original one. But if the original one is dead, what does it do?
I assume it pops off then, right? it's a very interesting question. I don't get me wrong. I like the concept.
Maybe it would stay on. I think maybe it would stay on. No,
I have no idea.
Because it would attempt. Okay, it would do a shift, right?
Yeah.
And then it would attempt a shift back, right? But the shift back would fail, so it wouldn't exit. It would just stay on.
But it's only to accompany it until round end. So what does that mean?
I don't know, man.
This is one where we definitely need more clarification on, because this one is cool and it's really nice, and I get the idea here. Like I like the idea of being able to pick up an accompany from one and put it onto another, but it definitely needs a bit more phrasing, and I'm not sure if it becomes too wordy at that point. You know?
I'm not too sure. Like this is a lot of stats being tossed around. You know, it's not like a simple, hey, you get you take +1/+1. Blah, blah, blah. It's not like you're just shifting stats around. You're shifting like an entire effect around, which can be really a little confusing. I feel so.
Next we have Join the Fun, which is a 2-mana burst spell. Grants an ally in hand companion and reduce its cost by 1. Draw 1. This one is wild.
Oh my god.
It's really funny. So you're shifting MINOTAUR around. That's too powerful. That's what I'm saying.
Too powerful, dude.
It's too strong. So Join the Fun. Grant an ally in hand companion and reduce its cost by 1. Damn, is that
good even? Like,
is that good?
What does giving a companion to something even do?
It lets
like
you
still need to do minion mana. It's like you just you freaking like zombie corpses his way onto the field instead of just dropping onto it.
Yeah, it's weird. It transforms them into a last breath. It's kind of weird.
Reduce its cost by 1. Okay, I guess that's the benefit, and you cycle.
Yeah, 2-mana cycle is actually not bad, but it is a downside because you can't just play the unit anymore. Very odd. I like the concept. I'd play it for the draw 1. That's what I'm saying. Like the draw 1.
I'd assume you'd only use it if you could actually slap it on something this turn.
Yeah, generally. Yeah.
I mean, this basically just costs 1.
This basically costs 1. Yes, and it draws you a card. It's a 1-mana draw card essentially.
Pretty strong.
Very. Yeah, I think it might.
Very weird. Very strange.
It's very out there. Okay, do you play Join the Fun with Butcher? It's for full boards compared to Mobilize. Yeah, comparing to Mobilize is pretty fair too. I mean, Oblivious Islander reduces cost, gives ephemeral. This is way stronger. Yeah. But the thing is, Oblivious Islander lets you play the card. This one doesn't let you play the card. It then says, hey, if you have no board state, you can't play it. Right?
So strange.
This is a 1-mana draw 1. But yeah, this plus draw is a little spooky. I think
Wait a second. If someone that's a company gets captured, does the guy drop off? Does it say leave the field?
It's leave the field. It's leave the field.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. They could just never kill your unit.
Okay, last one.
All right, okay, anyways, last one. This one I'm not a fan of. This one's the one I don't actually like. And it's
a accompanied unit can't take damage from cards that no, that's very wacky.
Yeah, so the fact that it refers to costs means that like this is a 2-mana, make your character immune to Mystic Shot.
The strongest PNZ champion is just invalidated by this card, guys.
Yeah.
It's too good.
Yeah.
It's too good.
Oh my god, yeah. This B layer is kind of bonkers because you just put onto Teemo, you put onto Zoe, and then they just can never get touched, and it just becomes kind of wild. This one I think this one needs to get out of here. This one is just kind of.
You could change it to something like I can't be damaged by units that like have X power or something like that. Make it like the elephant. Make
it more like the elephant. That's probably where you want it to be.
Cost cutoffs is so hard because they're almost immutable. You know.
Yeah, exactly. All right, though, guys, I think that's all the time we have for today. Next, you'll be joined by the absolutely incredible time at the LOR Circle Jerk. This is just like truly some of the greatest minds of all time.
Fun, guys.
It's going to be a great time. I will see you guys all then. All right, peace out, everyone. Bye-bye.
Yeah, see ya. Have a good one.